Hi guys, just realised that no one is home, so I might make a video. Anyway, what I want to say will probably come across as terribly unsympathetic, but I don't mean to be. I've just had a friend die in a horrific accident, and I guess it has just put things, I don't know, like, what's the word? I can't think of it. Put things into perspective for me. And I think that with things like chronic illness, especially random things like POTS or orthostatic intolerance, or a lot of just dysautonomia, you know, we view it as this kind of mythical, confusing beast, you know, that someone will know about. And I think especially here in Australia, there is a idea that, you know, the Americans, for some reason, the Americans can do POTS better or can fix it or whatever. But in the end, there is no magical treatment, and there is no magical testing. There is, you know, no cure for this. And because it's, you know, dealing with the whole autonomic nervous system, and it deals with so many different areas, it is ever changing. So treatment is symptomatic, and that really is it. You know, there is no single treatment for POTS to cure it. There's no single treatment that will work for everyone. There's no single treatment that probably will last somebody the entirety of their illness. Like, this is, you know, my fourth new lot of meds and major med regime, you know. It will always change. I mean, this illness sucks. It really does. But there is no magical cure. And I think we're getting so caught up with trying to find it or trying to diagnose ourselves that we're missing out on a whole lot of opportunities in life, because you know, some people, we as a community don't want to just accept the doctor. We don't want to trust them. We just want to try and fix ourselves, and I think that is quite dangerous. And I say that as both a patient and a health professional. You know, we do have to trust the doctors to a certain extent. I mean, obviously, if you get a doctor and they're absolute rubbish and they don't believe you and they are patronising and don't want to do anything and tell you it's all in your head, or, you know, like, we've all had those terrible doctors, and they're not ones that you should be working with. But, you know, doctors, once you find a good doctor, at least, or one that believes you, that's the main thing. You know, they are seriously trying their hardest. And doctors are people too. Like, they're not some sort of all-knowing gods. They are just trying their hardest. And we seem to forget that, and we seem to think that we know better. And in some cases, you know, like, we know our symptoms better, so doctors can't really say, I'm sorry, you know, you don't have chest pain or something like that, because if you're feeling chest pain or short of breath or whatever, then, you know, that's your symptom. But what was I saying? We do have to trust our doctors, and it becomes a lot more difficult to treat someone effectively. And then this is coming from my health professional side. It becomes a lot more difficult to treat someone effectively when they're trying to treat themselves. And a lot of people, and I've noticed this a lot on some of the websites lately, the support groups, people are doing all this reading, and they're reading these medical articles and medical journals, and I don't think, and they don't seem to realise this, but they're not really understanding what they're reading. They're thinking that they are, and they're thinking that, you know, they get it and they understand it and they know what tests should be done and they know that they've got hypercondiacts POTS or whatever, you know, but they don't really get it. And that becomes quite dangerous, because if you start thinking, you know, I've got hypercondiacts POTS, I need this test, oh, my doctor's so incompetent because he hasn't done this kind of test, blah blah blah. You know, you are limiting the amount of treatment you can get, because just because you read something, just because it works for someone else, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And doctors, you know, doctors aren't going to, well, for starters, to get a diagnosis of POTS, you have to have a whole bunch of, like, the diagnostic criteria is incredibly tough. Like, you have to have a whole lot of more common, more testable things ruled out. So, like, someone had mentioned how, you know, like, the autonomic nervous system affects so many organs. Well, all of that has to be tested before you can get a diagnosis of dysautonomia or of POTS or of OI. You know, they can't diagnose you without the testing. And once you, like, a diagnosis is good because it kind of gives you a sense of peace, it kind of gives you like oh yes, I'm legit, it's handy for work. But in something like dysautonomia, or in something, you know, like POTS, it is forever changing. And to a certain extent, people are getting so caught up with the whole, you know, what kind of POTS and all of that. And that really doesn't matter. That is not, you know, that's not the big issue. And people are, and I say this not meaning that, you know, people are causing this, or hypochondriacs, but there is a significant, you know, there is a component of the autonomic nervous system, as you probably know, called the sympathetic nervous system, and emotion does significantly affect that. So the more caught up we get in all of these kind of things, the more that we could be amping up our symptoms. Anyway, so we really do just need to treat the symptoms we have and not get caught up about these little sub-labels. You know, it is, if your blood pressure is too high, you lower it. If it's too low, you make it higher. If your heart rate's too high, you fix that. If you get chronic nausea, you go and see a gastro. And we do have to trust our doctors. And the other thing I just wanted to say is, doctors in the US are no better than our doctors here. Australia has some of the best medical schools in the world. So just because, you know, our doctors haven't been to the Mayo Clinic, or we haven't, does not mean that they don't know. They're all trying, and we do need to have more faith in them and realise that we can treat our symptoms and get on with life. We can. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. I hope that didn't come across too harsh. I hope it made sense. But let's focus on the important things. And the important things isn't little sub-diagnosis, or, you know, subtypes of POTS, or going to the Mayo Clinic, or treating ourselves. Because the important thing is trusting a doctor, working as a team, and working with whatever symptom comes up at the time, because it will always change with POTS. And if we can do that, then we will be able to get back some sort of quality of life and some sort of control. Anyway, that's my musings for today. The mystery of POTS isn't really a mystery at all. It's just a really dodgy condition that affects all parts of the body. And because of that, it's really hard to treat. So yeah. Anyway, that's it. I hope I haven't offended anyone. And I know I keep promising to do my workout videos, which I really will do something this week, especially for Val. I'm going to do some home exercise things. Anyway, yeah. Bye.